first off, welcome. And today's topic is going to actually be the fifth and final episode in our Coalition Member 101 series. You might be a little lost if you haven't participated in our first four episodes, but it's still going to be good content that's relevant that you'll be able to understand. So if you haven't watched the first four, that's okay too. I would just maybe recommend going back and watching them after this one today. But our topic and our last kind of final rounding out of this series is going to be focused on building capacity. So we've came full circle with this series, and then the last thing we wanted to make sure to cover is on that building capacity front in terms of what a member is responsible for and just kind of how to help out your coalition, right? That's our ultimate goal is here to make you the most effective member you can be. With this series, we want to train you, get you the knowledge that you need, the topics, the tools, all that stuff. So we want to make sure we ended on this really important topic, which is building capacity. So with that being said, our kind of agenda for the day looks like this. We're going to talk about other training and development opportunities, moving into recruitment, then to mentoring, new members, and recapping the entire Coalition Member 101 series at the end. So we kind of bring it all home, bring it together so everyone feels comfortable being a member at their coalition and taking their skills and knowledge to that next step and, being effective. So the first topic we're going to discuss today, and I'm not going to have too many slides today, guys. I know in the past, sometimes I have a lot of information, content. However, we're just going to kind of be talking about some of these things because we've really gone through a lot of that content and all that education piece that a member should know. So today I really want to be able to focus on these building capacity options and things that you could be doing as a member, not that you always should be. I understand, we've talked about from day one of this series that each member gives its own, time to participate. Some members might have, 2 hours a week. Others might only have, 30 minutes, 5 minutes a week to look and help out the coalition. That's okay, because no matter who you are, what version you are, we want you to help us out, right? So at the end of the day, when it comes to some of these building capacity things, we understand that, even though you may have been an acting coalition member for the past 2 years, 1 year, whatever it may be, if you can't do all of these, that's okay. We just like to encourage people to remember these and remember that building capacity is how we stay a good, working, strong coalition who gets things done in our communities. So that's why we're kind of bridging that topic into our series here today. So the first part of our agenda is going to be other trainings/development opportunities. This is one that I think kind of goes without saying, and you should want to continue to develop your skills as a coalition member, maybe even taking it to the next step and upping your membership status. If you're currently only a coalition member, maybe getting some training, some development, and upping yourself to a sector leader, or maybe thinking about, applying to be a board member or something. That's okay. However, don't forget this important part of other trainings. We have also said from day one, we are not the experts in your communities. So we recommend, talk to your coalition leaders, say, hey, is there any other development or training opportunities I should seek out to help better equip myself to be an effective member for this coalition? Because if you're gonna spend your time and effort with your coalition and give them your time, you want to give them your best self, right? You want to make sure that you're trained properly. You want to make sure that you're there to be able to help the community that you're working in. And that is definitely done through making sure you're equipped yourself to do that work, right? So other trainings, development opportunities, like I said, your coalition leadership probably has the best opportunities for you, whether that be local, national. Obviously, right now we are still facing kind of the pandemic and everything, so a lot of stuff may be online, which makes it even easier for you to share that with your members and help each other learn along the way, because everyone can do it from home, right? So really, one of the first major steps in building your capacity as a coalition member is to seek out other training and development opportunities. From there, we also wanted to talk about this important topic, and that is recruitment. So everyone knows that there's a life cycle to a coalition sometimes, or there's a life cycle to your membership. You might have been a member for 5 years, really involved in the work, loved what the coalition was doing, However, sometimes you just get burnt out, right? And you just need to maybe step away for a year or two. However, if everyone does that, we have no members, right? So it's important to constantly be helping recruit, even if it's just someone who's a friend or a colleague, recruiting those members is really going to help the coalition keep consistent numbers, keep the work going that needs to be done. Recruitment can also be looked at in terms of building relationships. Don't be afraid to be that person in your coalition that says, hey, I noticed that we don't have a good relationship with our local health department. Why is that? How do we make this better? How can I build this relationship and build our capacity to do this work and to, have that relationship with them so we can collaborate on things, right? Don't be afraid to take that approach either, because it is a very important step to a lot of times how coalitions function in their counties and their communities. So don't be afraid to do that and take that step either. And we talked about, recruitment. Think of recruiting friends, family, people that you already spend time with and like to hang out with. If you think they will be interested in this work that the coalition's doing, tell them, hey, maybe you should come to one meeting and see if you like it. It can't hurt, right? 1 hour of your time to come to a meeting. And if you like it, then, maybe help us out, come to some other meetings, take part in some events. It can't hurt to get someone to come to a meeting, right? Even if it's just to spend time with you, maybe it's someone you haven't seen in 2 months and you're like, hey, our upcoming coalition meeting's coming up and I have to go to that. Why don't you come with me so we can spend some time together? Totally normal, right? Another good one is those coworkers. So the people that you work with oftentimes can be a very good source of knowledge in terms of coalition membership. So don't feel bad asking them, hey, I noticed that, maybe you have 2 kids in the school district. I think you'd really benefit from, coming and giving us that parent perspective at our coalition meeting. Make sure to make it personal, tell them, hey, I think you'd be a great addition to our team. The recruitment piece is really important in terms of building capacity, especially for the coalition. This is more on the coalition side, whereas, the knowledge and the other training was more on the personal side as a member. But the recruitment piece is really big, because if we don't continually recruit and try and get some new members, some fresh faces, fresh ideas in there, our coalition starts to kind of just dissipate. Because like I said, at the end of the day, it's hard work, right? Being in there for years and years and years, it gets taxing. It's a lot. And if you're draining your members and then all of a sudden they all leave, you're kind of stuck with a coalition that you have to basically rebuild. So definitely encourage your members to recruit other people that they know would enjoy the work and it would be beneficial for the coalition. Example, I know a local coalition that we work with that actually has recently kind of gone through this phase of kind of all their coalition members leaving, feeling like they're stuck, can't do anything, they don't have any members, they can't get any traction in their community. They actually had just received their second half of DFC funding, so years 6 through 10, and their current coordinator left to pursue a different job. And the new coordinator found that when she kind of when the old one left, the members just kind of fell off, right? They didn't really want to participate. And then before we knew it, the beginning of this year, COVID-19 happened and she lost more members. So she's now at this point in the year where she's trying to build back up her membership, build those relationships. And it's hard, trying to get people to want to come back and want to participate or find new people. She's having to branch out into different areas. So definitely make sure that you are consistently recruiting and encouraging other members to recruit their friends, family, and coworkers. The next step we have, or the next agenda item I want to talk about in terms of capacity, and this one I think is a big one, and that's mentoring new members. So if you are coalition staff that's on the line, maybe you're the coordinator, the director, whatever it may be, it's really important to make sure that you're not the only one there to mentor the members. Encourage mentoring of each other. And I only say this because I think it speaks volumes when you have one member mentoring another, because they've gone through the same thing, right? They've both been in that seat where they're a new member, wanting to help out the coalition, wanting to improve their community. And I think it helps bridge the relationship and help the learning process when it comes from the other member, not always the coalition staff. Coalition staff should get involved when needed. Always say that, always look to your staff when you need that help and support. But it's also really important to use your members as mentors. And one of those things that a member can do is simply model a behavior, whether that be how to run a meeting via being the secretary, maybe and taking notes, how to help out an event, help show a new member how to take action at an event and, be a volunteer and do what needs to be done. Modeling behavior is a really big one. And a reason I say this is, again, because I've seen firsthand, one of our other clients before had a really big issue with their coalition members coming to meetings and not wanting to participate. So kind of lacking that action-oriented approach at their meetings. They were kind of very report out-ish, not feeling like a lot was happening. And they kept saying, how do we fix this? How do we fix this? And they were getting some new members. However, the new members wouldn't stay for longer than 2 to 3 months because they just fell off and they didn't know why. And they're like, we don't understand what's happening. Like, we finally got some new members at our meeting. And then 2 to 3 months later, we're back where we started with only 6 of us. And I was like, well, what are you guys doing at your meetings, right? How do we take these to be action-oriented? And the other thing we found is that their current members that were important and still coming to those meetings weren't always modeling that behavior of, being involved, helping out at these meetings, showing that they're there for a reason and their work is important. So it made the new members feel as if, they were just wasting their time, which is a huge thing. We don't want anyone to feel like we're wasting their time, right? We want to show them that, hey, this work is important. Why you're here is important. And we value you and your time. So making sure that modeling the behavior is a huge thing that your members are aware of and definitely take ownership of. Next, we have help work with them or work with a team. So it's also really helpful to assign a new member a mentee or a mentor, I guess you'd say. That way they have someone to go to for questions instead of having to go to the coalition staff. They can go to each other and say, hey, you're my mentor. You're going to help me learn throughout these first maybe 3 months as a coalition member how I can be effective and just learn to be the best member I can, right? Whether that be, a mentor-mentee relationship, maybe even it's, grouping them in a team. Maybe you have 3 new members and you say, hey, you guys are going to be the new member team, and I'm going to assign you guys a mentor, and you guys are going to work on some different projects, get used to how the coalition functions. That way they're in it together, right? They're all 3 new. They don't know what to expect, right? But it gets them comfortable with not knowing what to ask, which is good because it encourages them to expand their knowledge, ask about those questions, learn about the coalition, and really use their knowledge and skills to help improve the work we're doing. Next, we have show them training or learning opportunities. This series is literally meant for your members, so show them this. Have them watch, the 5 episodes. Have them, even if they only watch 3, maybe they only have time to watch 3. Have them watch them, show them some other things. Teach them about the coalition's goals and what they are and why you guys are there to do this work. It's not bad to teach them the reasons why we're doing this work, right? Learning and knowledge is a huge thing. Another reason, I guess you'd say, why coalition members leave, because they don't understand what the priorities are of the group or why we're even here, right? I know we do a lot of coalition assessments with our clients. Each year, our clients get a coalition assessment as part of their contract. And one of the questions I know we ask on there is, I think it's something around, do you feel like you are contributing as a member or something like that? To what level do you feel you're contributing? And there are sometimes we have seen that a lot of members don't feel like they're fully utilized. Their skills aren't being utilized. They don't understand what's happening at the meetings. They're just kind of asked to come and then not, told what it's actually for even. So I definitely, it's not a bad thing to have training and learning opportunities for your members, whether that be at a meeting, whether that be, prior to an event. Maybe it's even a specific training event that you host for your members. It's a huge part of the work we do in helping them feel comfortable as a member and being able to do that work, because at the end of the day, your members are your kind of the people on the ground, right? They are in the communities, they are seeing this work, they are doing this work. And if we make them feel supported via having the knowledge they need, the work will get done so much faster, and I guarantee you it'll be a lot easier on everyone because everyone will know exactly what they're doing. And the last piece, again, kind of goes back to that mentor-mentee relationship. Just provide them support. Make sure that your coalition has this open door policy in a way. Make sure that these new members know they can come to you and ask questions. Know that if they don't understand what's going on, that they can get that information from someone, whether that be a coalition staff or another coalition member. Having this open feel, this open dialogue helps people feel supported, and at the end of the day, results in members that are actually wanting to be there, wanting to grow their knowledge and their capacity. So those were the three main topics I wanted to talk about in terms of building, personal and, the organizations or the coalition's capacity as a whole. There's plenty of other things that go into building capacity, but I didn't want to get into too many today because, as we've also said from the beginning, all coalitions are different. All coalitions operate differently. So, your coalition might do things one way and another coalition might do things completely different. So we don't like to say, this is it, this is how you do it, but these are some great tips to keep your members refreshed, building capacity, because it's a huge part that sometimes we tend to not necessarily not do, but we tend to kind of push it to the wayside, right? Because there's all these other things we are worried about, getting our actions done, making these policy changes and actually doing the work that we're supposed to, right? Which is important. But at the end of the day too, it's also important to make sure that we're building capacity and have the ability to do that work, because, if we don't pay attention to it before we know it, we might find ourselves a year behind in terms of capacity and being able to address our issues because of the lack of, focus on it. So definitely make sure that it is at least, in the back of your mind somewhere when you're talking to new members, even current members that maybe seasoned vets that have been there for 3 years, hey, if there's something you're interested in, to build your capacity, you've been here for 3 years now, is there something else you're interested in terms of, this coalition work that we can help maybe hone your skills on or give you some more responsibility in? Is there anything that you want to grow in? Is always a valid question to ask your members. All right, I'm not really seeing anything come in, guys, so feel free to keep, if you're still thinking or typing your question, feel free to continue. Like I said, this was our last series or our last video in this series, so I want to make sure we had any kind of lasting questions get covered. Allison said, great suggestions. I think it's important to check in with members frequently and encourage outreach. Definitely. And Allison, I'm going to also kind of add on to that, especially right now, everyone being from home, having to have virtual meetings and everything. It's hard to keep your members around, right? It's hard to keep them engaged. So definitely, whether it's just a check-in call or, talk to them about their family, how's your family doing? It's completely okay to outreach, make them feel kind of validated, make them feel as if they're an important part, because they are, right? We want to make sure that they know that they're important to this work and we still need them, even though right now the work we're doing looks a little bit different than it maybe used to. Let them know that you are there if they need to reach out to you as well, and just encourage that communication. Yes, I completely agree. Friends and family have been a big way of involving other community members, especially lately. Yes. Getting school sectors to involve youth as extra credit or for school internships has been helpful too. Yes, I definitely highly recommend the internship route. We have one of our other clients in actually Cecil County, Maryland. They have a really great program where they actually have the ability to hire a high school intern for kind of like their intern. They have to have an internship credit, so they're able to kind of bring them on and get that youth involved. And they have huge youth involvement numbers out there, let me tell you. But I definitely like the internship road because I think it helps show kind of a younger generation this type of work and why it's important, and really bring it full circle for the parents and the other community members who might be on the fence about things, to see a youth involved and say a youth actually has a stake in this and they see the value. So there must be value in this, right? I definitely like that. Definitely agree. Awesome. I'm not seeing anything else come through. Thank you, Allison. Love your comments. Love everything. Completely agree with you. I want to go ahead and wrap things up today. Like I said, guys, today is going to be really short because I wanted to make sure we just covered a few things. But I want to make sure we kind of bring our series full circle and kind of summarize why we decided to do this. So the reason we came up with this series this year was because last year we did kind of a overall summary of how to be an effective coalition member, right? We had really good turnout for that, and people were saying, oh, we want to know more. We want a series that we can give to our members to help train them and help, encourage their growth in skills and knowledge. So that's kind of why we developed this series, and I definitely say, share this with your members, even if they only can watch a video for 10 minutes. Maybe it'll be helpful for them. Maybe they'll learn something new. I know I like to learn new things. They say you learn something new every day, and I completely agree. So in terms of this series, though, let's kind of wrap it up. So our first episode we had was on what is a member, right? So we wanted to make sure that the levels of membership and involvement were discussed because we wanted to make sure that our members knew at what point they wanted to be involved in. Maybe they just wanted to be a volunteer who came to events here or there. Maybe they wanted to be a board member. We wanted to make sure everyone knew what the roles and responsibilities were at each level so that they could make the right decision for them. Because at the end of the day, we want them to feel valued. We don't want them to feel overworked, right? We want them to be at that right involvement level so they feel valued and feel like they have an input and a say, but aren't, feeling like they're getting overworked and leaving in a month, right? That's not what we want. Our second episode was then taking that a step further. So now that they know what their membership level is, where they want to be, how they want to be involved, then we got into, I'm a member, now what, right? What do I need to know? What are the general knowledge and skills that I need to have to be an effective member? And that is where we really got into the nitty-gritty of content. So we went into, what is a logic model, basics of an action plan, what is an evaluation plan, the 7 strategies. So if you have some members who, know who they are confident in being a member, but maybe lack a little bit of that knowledge and could use some refreshers even, definitely have them watch episode 2 because it is a really good one. It's a longer one, but it definitely has some good content in terms of learning and knowledge that a member may need. Our third episode was then on taking action. So they know where their membership lies. They have those knowledge and skills that they need. Now, how do we get them to take action, right? How do we get them to really get involved and dive into this work that we want them to be doing? This is where we really talked about kind of knowing your skills, your strengths, weaknesses, as well as the knowledge needed. So again, that knowledge piece is really flowing throughout this series and making sure that you're educated, because the more you're educated, the better you are to act, the better you are to talk about these types of things. And like we said, and mentor new members as well. So definitely the knowledge piece is kind of a theme throughout. We also talked about, community connections and having a voice, being able to be that person in your community, be that champion and, work towards a policy or implement a new program, whatever that may be. That's one of the huge things we wanted to make sure we brought in during the Taking Action webinar and showing them these are the type of things you could be doing, right? These are where your coalition needs you. It's not a bad thing to want to do new activities. Just making sure that you're having that communication, that knowledge, and really sharing that with your community is important. Our fourth video, so this one, I think we did this one back in September, or maybe it was August, it's been a couple months now, but our fourth one then rounded out into kind of the next step as a member. So maybe you have some members who are really good at taking action, they have great knowledge, they're some of your champions in your coalition, they're great at what they do, and they're someone you guys can really rely on as a staff even. These people then, maybe it's important for them to take this next step and know how to track that progress, right? Maybe they want to see the numbers, they want to see the reports. As coalition staff, that's some of our work, that's our responsibility, is to do the reports, look at the data, making sure that we're tracking progress and making progress in the right areas, right? However, you might have some members that want to do this as well. And I think this episode is really good for some of your, like I said, seasoned vets, maybe those who have been there for 2-3 years, are wanting to really get into the data piece. Maybe they're even your evaluation committee. Have them watch this video because it's really important, and it talks about kind of the data tracking process and basics. It kind of goes into how we at ECS help our clients report data is a big part of it, but it's also really important to show, I think, even if you're not one of our clients, show your members to say, hey, this is all kind of the back end work that we put in to get these great reports, to see our progress in graph form or in, a paragraph form, whatever it may be. And another important part that we wanted to include in this fourth video was being able to share your progress, encouraging your members to celebrate and share this with other community leaders or community members. It's important because the more we are able to celebrate, the more important our work becomes to us, right? We want it to feel special. We want it to feel like a win. And it does the more we celebrate and acknowledge our progress. And then today, kind of rounding out our fifth episode, we know who we are, right? We know our skills, we know our responsibilities. We are then going to get into our knowledge. We built our knowledge and our skills. Then we learned how to take action. So we know what we need to be doing. Now let's do it. Then we got into our data tracking. So how do we, see if we're making any progress with these actions? And then today we kind of brought it first full circle with, we're a great member. We know what we're doing. How do we share that, right? How do we build the coalition's capacity and our own personal capacity to continue this work and to get better? So thank you, everyone. Love that everyone loved this series, and I can't appreciate it any more than I already have. You guys have been great. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day, and I appreciate you guys for coming.